This week I've been in Surrey doing some work to Matilda's sister Puddles. Now Puddles belonged to my best friend Skate and Tina. Now if you've watched any of my travel videos, you'd have seen Puddles and Matilda going through the Gobi Desert. Now Puddles was sold about 6 months ago, so I've been doing some much needed repairs on her the last 10 days, and now we're going to have a chat with the new owner and see what their plans are for Puddles. So what do you have to tell us about Puddles?
In terms of what we've done inside, so we've reupholstered the cushions on the seating area and also added an additional cushion. So we've now got the easy ability of turning it into a bed. It's also in a slightly different colour scheme, so it's picking out the blues and the yellows and the greys. And you'll notice the bathroom door has been repainted, kitchen area has been repainted as well, as have the cupboards. The kitchen area, this wall was originally a very dark grey, if not black. Yeah, and it was done, and the cupboards were done in a shabby chic style, which is nice, but I think, everybody has their own tastes. And one of the things that we picked out on, and maybe Matt will fit in a second, is the wall behind Matt has pieces of wood painted in various different colours, and we quite like the yellow, and there's a grey and there's blue, so we started picking those out and popping those colours up a bit. So that's why we started off with the kitchen area painting the back wall yellow, with now yellow perspex splashback, which when you pop the lights on is quite a nice effect. Do excuse the materials because we're still in the middle of work in the truck. The cupboards have been also stripped back and repainted with a Grecian white background, because I have that available, and silk finish grey on the doors. The bedroom area, we've had to buy a new mattress, so that's here with the pillows and stuff ready to go. But you can see the wall behind these have been reupholstered, as has the other side, completely, and matching with the curtains. In fact, it's the curtain material, the spare curtain material, from having the curtains shortened to fit the vehicle. So we've got blue curtains at the back, grey geometric shaped curtains are here, and the slightly different grey curtains on this side. And the last piece that I added to that was some tie backs to keep the curtains open, so that instead of when you arrive, I had been driving the truck, and by the time I got to a destination, the curtains at the back are closed on their own.
You've got plans to change this, is that correct?
Yep. So the worktop, this top area is a lovely opportunity to get some decent oak and have it not properly, but have a nice tight junction and make it a workable worktop.
Yes.
The slats on the side here and down the side here, there's an opportunity there also to change this to be more of a smooth managed decorated piece of wood, and the same on the seat base there. So where it's not everybody's style, it's not the Karen style, she certainly doesn't like this, in the fullness of time these will be replaced.
And you're going to have matching wood on the worktop?
Yeah, this worktop, it's going to be such a shame, because I know that this has quite a bit of sentimental value for Gary and Tina. It's one of Gary's photographs that's been used. But there is an opportunity here to remodel the kitchen to include an oven. As you guys use a separate oven, we would need to do the same. And where I'm standing here is right next to a fridge, which was originally a freezer. It's an elegant solution, but we also quite like the idea of the fridge that you've got. Yeah. So, and I know we've followed that particular video with quite a bit of interest, to say the least. And I'm pretty sure it'll fit in this area. We'll have to check.
Yeah.
It should be, because that's a standard size fridge. So
I love the new colours. I love how you combined the colours together. It's lovely.
yeah, learning to do upholstery with a staple gun has been not done that before, I must admit.
Any other plans? Any other changes?
There is a possibility with this. We've been looking at this cupboard with interest because this is where the electrics are hiding, and that's absolutely appropriate to sort of put them out of the way. But this in itself, this area becomes a bit of dead space, so there may be an opportunity to make a fairly shallow, but you could actually make like a spice cupboard or something like that on there to actually make better use of that space. But really, we need to live in it. We need to actually use it to adapt ourselves to the truck, and then see, well, what isn't going to work for us, and adapt that to us. So that that we're not going to go crazy with this. We're desperate to get out of this lockdown situation, so we can actually go camping in this.
What do you think about the light behind you? What do you think about the light behind you?
I love it. I know. I saw this on the build videos, and when you look at the inside of the trucks, you can still see the original in the original workshops. I'd like to get it working. I'm not sure if it does work.
It did.
Yeah.
Maybe the batteries are flat.
Yeah. But no, I love it because that would give a nice, even if you wire it, false wiring to make that work. That's certainly on the plans. Yeah, and you can see the various colours of the wood, so we're just trying to lift those up.
And the exterior door, is that staying black or changing?
No, that's going to change. That's I'm biding my time. That's going to be grey with yellow highlights as well, probably. Although, looking at yours, I quite like the idea of wood lining it.
So, Scott, why did you buy Puddles?
Karen and I have been travelling around in a Land Rover, using that for overlanding on organised trips. And ever since we started doing that, the bug got us both. And we actually set up a dream board where in the centre of the dream board was an overlanding truck. It was quite a modern one, in fairness. It was one of these sort of new ones.
I did the same, similar on my computer at work. I put one of the Overland trucks that inspired me was on my screensaver at work.
Yeah, very similar. And we added to that story quite regularly what we were doing, and we'd upgraded the Land Rover, so, in the process of that. I've literally just retired from corporate life, and leading up to that retirement, our plan was to effectively buy a DAF T244 ex-military 4x4. I've been in them plenty of times because I'm ex-forces. We had started following various fellow like-minded people like yourselves. We were following you. Actually spotted you guys at the Overland show on your way out on your trips as under Great Escapes. But around about, I think it was September time, you guys were back. Not you, but Gary and Tina were back. And all of a sudden, Puddles popped up on Facebook as I'm up for sale. And I couldn't believe it. And so I had a word with Karen, and he just tentatively sent a message over to Gary saying, "Whereabouts are you?" Turned out Eastbourne, and we're in Horsham. So it's like on our backyard. So we hightailed it down on the weekend to have a look at Puddles. And Karen, as you heard last night, confessed to the fact that once she'd been in it, and we'd been interviewed by Gary and Tina, serious about that, they did actually interview us. I think, to be honest, both of us have made our minds up. Although I was determined to go in with a sensible head-on as soon as possible afterwards. We tried to go on the Sunday, couldn't do that. So we went on the Monday evening and went to see Puddles again. Gary took me out for a little spin around the farm, or the area where they were, and we cut the deal there and then. It was a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer, because we were months away from me retiring. Karen is also going to retire as well, and we both want to go decent travelling,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't say that the UK isn't decent. That's exactly what we're going to use Puddles for initially.
But you're used to the UK. UK's your backyard, isn't it? You want to go and see.
Yeah.
Something
So yeah, I mean, as you know, we have plans. We've got some very good friends in Canada. We've been over there, a short trip, a couple of weeks. That was last year, and such a beautiful country. And we're following a couple. I can't remember the guys' names now, but they've just done Canada and working into America in a DAF. And there's a couple of DAF owners over there. They've managed to get them across, and we've already made inquiries about shipping over to Canada. So our current plan is to ship Puddles over probably in a couple of years' time, and spend at least 6 months. You can get a 6-month visa currently.
Yeah.
And if we need to go for longer, we can. We don't have to necessarily be staying in it permanently, because we've got somewhere we can bail into if we needed to. But the naive plan at the moment is 6 months minimum in Canada. If we need longer, we'll dip into America, give ourselves time to reset and get revised visas. That's one of the big trips. But our goal, our actual target, our real goal, is to drive to Singapore.
Okay.
And that's following a very similar route to what you guys did, going north of the Himalayas up into Mongolia. I know the problem at the moment is actually crossing into China and transiting through China. So clearly there's a lot of planning to do,
yeah.
and a lot of problems to solve on the way. But that's our goal, to drive to Singapore.
So you talked about the Land Rover. You've done lots of trips in your Overland trips on Land Rover before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We started. I'd always had a passion to buy a Land Rover, and eventually Karen called my bluff, so I did. Initially a Discovery 1, and we used to play with that in Payne play sites in the UK and broke it regularly, and it ended up just crumbling away in rust. So I got Discovery 2, and got quite interested in overland trips. So we found an organisation that actually, I think when I was on the forums asking about it, there were a number of individuals who I'd had no connection to had recommended the same people, and that's Pete and Joe Girling at Atlas Overland. So I rang him, had a chat with him, and he does organise trips through the year, through the season, and he had a space on a Scandinavia trip, which was effectively, you drove up to Trondheim in Norway, crossed into Sweden, came back down again, big triangle, over a 2-week period. So we prepped the Land Rover minimally for that trip. Did nothing other than, we had already got 2 3-man tents, so we took both. One was an old one was a fairly new one. Good job we took 2, because the older tent failed. But we were trying it out, and effectively we drove up to Norway through Sweden, got to Oslo, and you effectively turned left on, and from that point onwards you're on gravel tracks, going up over the high mountain passes, only open in the summer. And there were stages where we were driving through cleared snowdrifts which were over 5 meters deep, absolutely immense, and the vistas, the views were spectacular.
So a lot of what I've seen up Scandinavia is a long flat area full of trees. And is that not what you saw?
That's a good description of Sweden.
Right. Okay.
The parts of Sweden that we saw, which was a bit, some prairie grass rolling down the road, and watch out for the moose. But Norway was, you got the fjords for starters,
yes.
And some of those roads dropping into the fjords are not for the faint-hearted. That's for sure.
Would you do it in Puddles?
I would. I might think about an exhaust brake.
That is a definite required upgrade.
You certainly have to plan for it, because they are quite steep, and you need to give yourself the time to do those things, but also to enjoy them. That was the beauty of the way we were working on those trips with Atlas Overland. And the Norway trip was you camped and then moved and camped and moved and camped. But he always took the opportunity to stop when people wanted to stop, there were photo opportunities almost at every corner, so you didn't stop every time. So our first big trip we want to do is to go to Morocco, and we'd actually booked onto Morocco before we bought Puddles. We were going to go in the Land Rover. So I had a chat with Pete Girling to sort of say, look, you know, don't want to tie you down or force it on you, but we would love to do Morocco, the Atlas Mountains, that's where the name of the company comes from, and the cedar forest and all that sort of stuff. We would love to do it in Puddles, if we can, if you don't mind. But if you do, just say so and we'll come in the Land Rover instead. He went, absolutely no, you absolutely no problem at all. Love to see you in Puddles. And I had already started arranging the ferry crossing from across the Med. That was all until lockdown happened, because we were going to go in September in Puddles to do that. That's now been delayed until April next year. So it's still on, and that's the first big trip that we're probably going to do.